Are you ready for round two?
Yeah, because apparently, indecisiveness just in our nature, I guess.
Yeah,
So we gotta make some changes.
yeah, let's do it. Uh, so before we get to the PS2 endings here, there are two main changes I want to make here. It involves these two endings, Lust and with Kodonaha. Lust, I got wrong. This is not the ending that's similar to Love Fulfilled. That is with Kodonaha. Lust is very similar to Bavaros, but you just kind of go into the demands of Kodonaha and just continue with her out of, well, the ending's name, Lust. So it is definitely not A tier.
Yep. So all the Makoto haters, they get justified. He talks with his nutsack, like at his shaft. Yeah, that's just it's definitely not a very satisfying ending if you're at all interested in how the mind works, because it's basically just Makoto being a
Asshole.
yeah, that's a pretty light way of putting it.
Yeah. Lust, you are not an A tier. You're not even B tier. I think you're like a bottom of C tier, like right next to With Honesty.
Yep.
And on the flip side of that, we have with Kodonoha, which is just love fulfilled. Except instead of going with Sakai, you just go with Kodonoha. It's a little less satisfying in my opinion because love fulfilled is a lot more heartwarming. But with Kodonoha, it's basically just the same ending. So I'd say it's top of A tier.
Alright, so that.
Alright, now let's get into the meat of the video. The PS2 extensions. Now, admittedly, these endings are basically carried with their, connected endings here. So when we talk about Cold Scarf, we're mainly just talking about like how well does it go with Bloody End, like if it's satisfying or not. So that's basically the way we're gonna look at it here. And speaking of which, let's start off with Cold Scarf. So, like I said, Cold Scarf is a extension of Bloody End. After Sakai is murdered, Kodonoha gives the saw to Makoto, and Makoto decides to slap the saw out of Kodonoha's hand, which slices her hand open in the process. And Hikari and Nanami are behind and crying because Sakai just got fucking murdered. And Makoto also starts to break down. While has back turned on Kodonoha, she grabs her scarf, wraps it around his neck, tries to choke him, but Makoto grabs onto her hand. She gets out of that like insane mode she was in. She realizes what she's done. She breaks down crying, and then that's the end of it basically.
So for the layman's terms, yandere simulator, but Makoto, instead, at senpai, and he almost gets killed. All right, there we go. Layman's terms.
Well, here's the thing to look at it: is it a good extension to Bloody End?
Eh, it's it's definitely an extension to Bloody End.
Certainly.
It's no Joka Nanashi or whatever you call it.
Definitely not.
It's just another Bloody End ending. Not much else you can say about it. Although I guess you could say Konoha leaning more into the yandere instead of Sakai doing it is a bit more change of pace, since Sakai is mostly the one doing it.
Definitely. I'd say just because it's basically just neck and neck with it, it's right next to Bloody End. Next up is End of the Folly. This is the extension to My Child. About 3 years after To My Child happens, Sakai apparently disappears, and her mom Yoko is taking care of her grandson at the park. Kodonoha is also there with her son, and Taisuke and Hikari show up, and they start talking about how Sakai disappeared, talking about Makoto, and Taisuke also just something about him in this ending is the fact that all three of the children that you see all look very similar to him. Well, let's be real here. They are Taisuke's children. None of the ones that Makoto supposedly bared are not his. It's very clear they're Taisuke's, and, well, we do know our input about Taisuke, don't we?
Well, one thing we can know for certain is that Makoto is shooting duds.
Well, yeah, he certainly is, but to the extension to My Child, which is definitely a middle-of-the-road ending, I think this extension is kinda sucky, because everything Makoto did basically had no purpose.
Yeah, then Tasuke gets away with basically,
Rape.
Yep, he just gets away with a lot of counts of that, and the girls just say nothing about it, and then he gets to feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, let's just say that Earnest Feelings Requited is no longer the bottom of D tier.
He basically what Tasuke did was basically try and Genghis Khan his way into the future and reproduce as many women as possible.
Yep.
Unconsensually too.
God, that really pisses me off too, because To My Child I thought it was probably the only like bad end in the game that did not need an extension. That they did it anyways, and it fucking sucked.
Yep.
Alright, let's get back onto better pace here with Blue Smile. Blue Smile is an extension to Forever. So, while Makoto is at Konoha's grave after she committed suicide, Sakai shows up, and Sakai mentions about the fact that she got married, but she had a miscarriage, and she plans on divorcing the person she's with. Makoto decides to hide his hand because he also has an engagement ring, and they just start talking about what happened. And at the end of it, Sakai, while holding a bucket of water, tells Makoto about how it's going to rain that day, despite the fact the forecast said it wasn't. And Makoto looks up, and there is no rain. So he just questions the validity of Sakai's statement, but it's also very, very clear that she is probably a little insane.
It's a bit of symbolic for the coming storm. Or since, well, we can't really know what Sakai is going through, but, well, just, reading into that, it looks like it's gonna rain. With no clouds in the sky.
Yep.
Yeah, there's clear symbolism there.
I'd say overall it's a good extension to admittedly pretty horrible ending. In horrible, I mean like just subject matter of it. I definitely do think it's definitely a good extension overall. I wouldn't say it's really satisfying, but I definitely do think it's a pretty good extension for Forever. I will let you know this in one are the only PS2 extensions I can think of that are not going to either be in C or D tier, which lets you know just the quality of these. So,
yep.
I'd say Blue Smile is actually right above Forever, just a tiny bit, personally. Next up is News Story. This one is an extension to I Love You. I Love You is probably one of the most whatever endings in the game, and this extension makes it a little more interesting. So after Sakai and Makoto get together, they're walking with Hikari and Nanami, and they are talking about how Konoha disappeared after a couple of weeks of not showing up to school. A news story is shared that apparently a girl was murdered around the area that they're in, and Hikari and Nanami start suspecting that Konoha is the person that was murdered. They ask Makoto and Sakai, and they kind of brush it off like it's nothing to them. And it is very, very likely that they murdered Konoha.
If
which,
you will notice, whatever going on, what we're saying.
well, I mean, there wasn't really anything else about it, but I'll let you
Well,
finish.
if there's one thing you notice about literally the entirety of school days, is that detectives, the police, and any kind of justice system just does not exist.
No.
No. They will just get away with anything. There's one thing that ain't realistic, thing that a lot of people point out. The police just don't exist.
Yeah, it's super strange.
I don't know Japanese culture, but what? Do their police force just sit around all day and do nothing? A girl gets murdered.
It's like an
Okay.
average Tuesday for them.
Oh. What? Oh, I thought you meant murdered. Oh, my bad. I'm too tired to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm too tired to do it anyways. Well, it does make I Love You more interesting of an ending, but I wouldn't really say it's like it redeems it like at all. It's like it's just very mediocre in my opinion. There's I feel like there's no reason for them to do that, like ever. I mean, there's no reason to murder anybody just whatsoever, but that right there is just prime example of I just genuinely just think that they're both just mad.
Well, I mean, it'd be nice if they got to how Konoha got murdered or the intricacy behind it, but it's just Konoha got murdered. It's implied that Makoto and Sakai did it. Not really much evidence to say they did, aside from the implication. So it's just left kind of in the air.
Yeah.
And it can be unsatisfying. Honestly, it is pretty unsatisfying in that regard.
Definitely.
Since if you like Konoha, you're like, what?
It's confusing more than anything. That's the issue with it.
It just left there. I guarantee you, if you ever played this ending, which unfortunately we don't know Japanese, so we don't. If you ever play this ending, your first thought would be like, what?
You would just be confused. That's the issue with it.
Why? What happened?
It's just like no rhyme or reason behind it. At the very least, with Bloody End, Push Too Far, To My Child, all those other like bad endings, at least there's a motive behind it.
They specifically went for that ending.
There's like a specific reason why that happens. This one, it's just like, oh, they just kind of just murdered her for shits and giggles. Like, what? It just makes no sense to me. I think this one's a D tier. Do you agree with that? Yeah, I think it's like right here.
Yeah, there's definitely a trend here. They're not exactly great endings.
Which, that kind of makes sense why most people don't really talk about these extensions. But don't worry, there is one that's actually pretty good, but we'll get to that in a minute. Honestly, we're looking at our first one that genuinely improves on an ending, and that's Lamplight. This one is an extension to With Honesty, which With Honesty is one of my personal least favorite endings. It's not one of the worst endings, but it's one of my personal least favorites because it just kind of feels like Makoto just did it just because he just felt like it. Like, not even because he genuinely loves Sakai. I think he just wanted to fuck over Konoha for no good reason.
He's an indecisive person.
That is the problem with that. Well, don't worry, guys, because Lamplight improves on that. Because after they get together, the next day, Konoha questions him and Sakai about what the hell just happened. She talks to Sakai for a little bit, and I guess in a blind rage, she pushes Sakai into the train tracks. Makoto goes down there to save Sakai, to get her back up there. And while he's waiting for Sakai to, give him a hand, he gets fucking killed.
Yeah, he goes, bam, bam, boom!
Literally just gets killed, and you know what? That's satisfying to me because of the shit he did in With Honesty.
he didn't exactly deserve to die, and what whole you went on. It's complicated.
It's a
With
very yeah.
Makoto in that ending is he's just bouncing around. He's hot and he's cold. He's yes and he's no. Copyright claim. But, and then he just gets ran over by a train. He gets hit with an incoming boom.
Just gets hit. Yeah. I think just because of just how unlikable he is with honesty, this extension honestly kind of makes up for it because of just how unlikable he is in that ending. Obviously, you know, he doesn't deserve to get killed. I mean, nobody does, but let's be real here. If you're watching this series, then you're not really gonna have a proper opinion on murder. Especially in the context of real life.
Half of the endings in School Days are just someone dies.
Yeah.
Which, in real life relationships, technically, actually, hold on, lifts glasses. All relationships end with some kind of death. Shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
Not in the terms of how School Days. Nobody gets kobonashi, on a daily basis. So if you're kind of like, you want immersion with your School Days, which, why would you? You're probably not exactly going to be like, okay, this is a good ending. You'd be like, okay, but why?
Why is it a good ending? You know, like,
why?
We explain why why the ones that we have up here are good endings. We explain why, and we add purpose to it. Whereas something like with honesty, it's basically just like, why? You know, like why would people say this is one of the better endings? It's just so weird to me.
If Konoha and Sakai were smart, they would have been like, okay, I'm ditching you now.
If they were smart, they would just completely ditch Makoto. Everyone knows that. But
bouncing between two girls all the time. That it's just a sign. It's a telltale sign.
The only time it ever works for Makoto is in Two Lovers, and Two Lovers isn't even one of the better endings in our opinion. Technically, we do consider it one of the better ones, but we're just still really indecisive with it. I'm a country bumpkin. That kind of culture is not from around here. No,
we frown upon that.
But we're not about Two Lovers here. We're talking about Lamplot. Lamplot, technically, personally for me, it is a good extension for With Honesty, but that's simply just because of how fucking horrible Makoto is in With Honesty.
Yep, he gets murdered.
Yeah.
The Makoto ending where this is one of the only endings where he dies, aside from the anime one.
Yep.
He gets run over by a train. So if you play Dumb Ways to Die, I guess you can relate it to that.
I guess so. I'd say Lamplot's at the bottom of B tier, personally. It improves on With Honesty, but nothing more, nothing less. Alright. Innocent Evening Sun. This one is a extension of 2 Kodonoha, which, if you have noticed, 2 Kodonoha is in the top tier, so this better be good, and it's fucking horrible. In Innocent Evening Sun, after that whole deal happens, Kodonoha and Makoto are at the train, and they are just waiting for their train to come by. Sakai messages Makoto, distracts him. She pushes Kodonoha into the train tracks, but she also accidentally falls as well, and they are both in the train tracks. Makoto tries to save Kodonoha. Unfortunately, he's too wimpy, and both girls get killed.
Yep, so at the end, Makoto gets no clitoris.
Nope. And this is an extension, like I said, of 2 Kodonoha, which is one of the best endings in the game. It's super satisfying to watch, and this ending right here just completely shits on that.
Yep, both Sakai and Konoha die.
Yep.
How do you like your story? With more death! This is Japan.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna disagree with me on the placement here.
literally half of these endings are just and someone died.
I think it's better than End of the Folly because Taisuke fucking sucks, but it's still D tier.
And honestly, what can we realistically say about most of these endings? It's just and somebody died. If you need someone to die for a drama to happen, okay, that's every drama does that. And then he died. Cool. Could you add some more intricacy? Maybe. Oh, but then something else happened. Nope, he's just dead. End of story. Alright, anyway, pack it up, go home.
See, that's the reason why To My Child is, in our opinion, the best of these, like, murder endings, is because there's, like, there's actual substance to it.
It's basically, it's the same kind of substance as someone on a London tram coming up, shanking like a nanny 12 times, and then you just walk around and move on with your day, like, cool, that happened. It's basically that.
The problem with it is the fact that it's an extension to an ending that is, in all words, just really, really satisfying. And it just, like I said, it just shits on it. Just completely ruins all the momentum you got from it.
Yep, an ending that you're like, okay, that was a decent ending. There was a good story so far that I played. And then at the end, here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo, but it's just a train.
Yep. That's just, I hated that.
Half of these endings are just train endings. They're just all train endings. You might as well just name the PS2 version,
School
Trains.
Days Train Edition.
The School Days, Metro.
Metro Edition. God. And guess what? This last ending is similar to that. Except this one is by far the... Honestly, this is probably the goofiest one in my opinion. Because this is what we like to call karma at its finest. So this ending, Twisted Hair, is an extension to All Hers, which is another one of the better endings. And what happens in this one is after Makoto and Kotonoha get together, they're at the train, yet again. And just like with Innocent Evening Sun, the exact same thing happens where Sakai messages Makoto, and he's distracted, and Sakai pushes Kotonoha. Except this time, instead of Makoto not being able to bring back up Kotonoha, he is able to bring her back up. Except the way that she did it was actually not really Makoto. It was because she actually pulled on Sakai's hair to get herself back up to the platform. And Sakai is just pushed even further into the tracks, and she gets fucking ran over. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is karma.
At least it's a bit more interesting. Instead of Sakai pushing, or both of them dying, Konoha just dying. Instead, she gets hit with a nice try, but I activate Magic Cylinder. And
that's literally what
it gets reversed.
At the very least, justice was kinda served in that.
It's definitely a lot more of an interesting way to use the train. Sakai gets her karma and comeuppance.
Yeah.
And Makoto's just sitting there like, Uppa! But I was gonna choose her instead.
We honestly don't know. If anything, Twisted Hair could have ended like Forever did, where Makoto and Sakai did get together, but after they witnessed Kotonoha die, they are just kind of like, okay, we kind of can't really stay together anymore now, because it just reminds us of this. Twisted Hair is probably the exact same way if we know Makoto at the very least.
Due to how the love triangle works, none of the relationships are gonna work. None of them will.
No. Although Twisted Hair is definitely an interesting extension to All Hers, but it's still just like, you know.
It's another train ending.
Yep, that's literally it. So it's I'd say it's like right here. It's Twisted Hair. It's above Lamplight, but it's just there, you know. Unfortunately, despite the fact that that the PS2 version of School Days, LxH, whatever the hell you want to call it, despite the fact that technically it offers more content, the content itself is it doesn't really have a whole lot of substance to me. The only extension that I truly think was worthwhile was Blue Smile. I think that's the only one that we realistically needed, which even then, Forever didn't really need that, but it didn't hurt, I guess.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying this, but the PS2 version is basically like the ostrich ninja from Naruto. It's filler. You don't need it. You can just clip.
Honestly, yeah.
You can just clip all that out. It like if you're a hardcore fan of the series, I mean, this is a nice little way you can like maybe get a bit more of like a heroin injection, because if you're that big of a fan where you're gonna look for a PS2 version of like an obscure Japanese copy, I mean, you might need to get into rehab, buddy.
On a for real note, though, the LxH is just kind of mediocre when it comes to the content it adds, to be honest. And listen, that's coming from me because I fucking love School Days, but even I have to agree that the PS2 version's content's just very.
To put it more into perspective, you already like strawberry cake. Strawberry cake's delicious. It's got everything you need. But if you start adding freaking pineapples on it, it's not it's now a strawberry pineapple cake. But we already like strawberry cake. Maybe some people might like strawberry pineapple cake, but it's just, now
you just never needed it.
You never needed it. School Days is already good as it is.
Exactly. I just didn't really think we needed the extensions. The extensions don't really... It doesn't hurt the game itself, because it's not like you have to watch those or anything. In fact, a lot of the times, a lot of these endings don't get touched, which is good. It's usually just the bad endings that usually have that extra part in them. But for the ones that it does affect, it really brings it down. I'm looking at you too, Konoha. I'm looking at you. Makes me sad, though. It genuinely does. But you know what? Let's end this on a happy note. How about that? Let's end this on a happy note. I plan on making a Shiny Days ending tier list in the future. Not right now, because I still have to 100% the game. But in the future, I plan on doing that. And after I complete that game, I will move on to Cross Days to see what that's all about. I've heard it's a lot more similar to School Days than anything else. And after I do that, I will end it off the endings tier list series with just a big conglomerate of just every single ending in the whole series. And JP and I, we will just figure out what we personally just think are the best and worst. Although it's going to be hard to compare all of these endings compared to like all the other games together. It's going to be hard to do that. I definitely do think it is very possible to do that. It's going to take a lot of time and effort, especially on my part. With Jaden, he's probably just going to play Fallout New Vegas for the time being, but we will definitely... I will definitely get to that in the future, but in the meantime, this is what I've got for School Days. So, until we get to Summer Days, Shiny Days, whatever the fuck you want to call it, this is our list. So yeah.
Yep.
I bet you're gonna go ahead and continue playing Fallout New Vegas, aren't you?
I'm already on that.
Yep, I knew.
Alright, everybody. Hope you had a good day. All right. Goodbye. Fun tier list.
Okay. I just... God, I wish New Vegas worked on my computer.